Welcome in everybody to another lesson. Today we are going to talk about the distributive property. So the distributive property says that whenever you have any number outside of parentheses times in parentheses two numbers such as x and y, x plus y, what you're going to do is you're going to take the number that's outside the parentheses, you're going to multiply it by each expression. So you would take a times x plus, then you would do a times y. These are just arbitrary numbers examples, which would give you ax plus ay. So you take the number that's outside the parentheses, multiply it by the first term, then you add the number outside the parentheses times the second term, and then you'll get your final result. So let's do some examples here. Let's do some examples. Say we have 2 times x plus 3. Right? So what we have to do with this is first you're going to do 2 times x. You'll have 2 times x, then the plus sign, then 2 times 3. Then you'll have plus 2 times 3. Which then, of course, when we do the multiplication and addition, you'll have 2 times x, well that's 2x, plus 2 times 3, which is 6. So the answer you would get is 2x plus 6. Alright, how about 5 times y plus 6? 5 times y plus 6, well you're going to take 5 times y, you'll have 5 times y plus 5 times 6. Because we distributed the 5 to each one and added up their multiplication. So you'll have 5 times y plus 5 times 6, which will give you 5y plus 30, because 5 times 6 is 30. So the answer to this is 5y plus 30. Alright. You may also see the distributive property. Sometimes you'll see it like this. You may see the number outside the parentheses to the right. That still works because it's x plus 3, that quantity, times 4. Well, if you see it to the right, you're going to do the exact same thing. You'll take 4 times x, you'll distribute it inside the parentheses. You'll have 4 times x, plus, carry the plus sign, plus then you'll have 4 times 3, which, when we simplify it, would give you 4x, plus what is 4 times 3? That's 12. So the answer you would get is 4x plus 12. So sometimes you'll see the number to the left of the parenthesis, sometimes you'll see it to the right. It really doesn't matter. You get the same result. You just distribute it by multiplying the first term plus multiplying the number times the second term, and you got your answer. This is a fairly simple property. Okay, how about this one? We'll have 3 times x minus 2. Well, of course, you're going to still take that 3, multiply it by the first term. You'll have 3 times x plus, always do plus, because whenever you subtract, that's the same as plus a negative. Plus, you'll have that 3 times that negative 2, because minus is plus a negative. So you'll have the 3 times x plus 3 times negative 2, which when you simplify, you'll have 3x, 3 times negative 2, well that's negative 6, so then you get 3x plus negative 6, which when you simplify, it would just give you 3x minus 6. That's the answer you would get. So I took my 3, multiplied it by x, plus I took 3 and multiplied it by -2, since that's adding a -2. And then I, of course, simplified it. We got 3x plus -6, which is just 3x minus 6. So that's how we got that. Okay, let's see if we can find another example like it. Alright, we have 8 times z minus 3. 8 times z minus 3. Well, of course you distribute that 8 by multiplying it by z, so you'll do 8 times z plus, you'll do 8 times -3, because you have plus -3 here. And then what you'll do, you'll multiply 8 times z, you'll get 8z. What is 8 times -3? Well, that's -24. So when you simplify this, you'll just get 8z minus 24. And that would be your answer. You get 8z minus 24 because you distribute the 8 times z plus the 8 times the -3, and it simplifies into 8z minus 24. Alright. How about -2 times z minus 4? So yes, we can distribute with negative numbers also. You have -2 times the quantity of z minus 4. Well, you'll still do -2 times z. You distribute it times your first term, plus you'll have -2 times -4. So you have -2 times z plus -2 times -4. So we'll go and simplify this. You'll have -2 times z is -2z, plus -2 times -4, well, that's +8. So your answer would be -2z plus 8. You may also see it written as 8 minus 2z. That's another way you may see it written. Either way is acceptable. So, because by the commutative property, you could do 8 minus 2z. So that's another way to write it. But let's do another example like this. Alright. We have a minus 6 times -5. So we got a minus 6 times -5. Well, we're going to distribute that -5 times a, so you'll have -5 times a plus, you always do plus, that -5 times the -6. We have -5 times -6. So yes, -5 times a plus the -5 times the -6 that's here will equal, well, -5 times a is -5a, plus -5 times -6, that's +30. So you would get -5a plus 30, or by the commutative property, you may see 30 minus 5a. Both would equal the same thing. It's just another way of writing -5a plus 30. So, distributive property, big takeaway is take the number that's outside the parentheses, multiply it by the first number inside the parentheses, then you do plus, you add the number outside the parentheses times the second number. So, in this case, it was -6 for the second number. So, and then you just simplify your result. That's really all there is to the distributive property. There really isn't much to the distributive property. But it is a very useful one as you get further into algebra. You're going to be using it quite a bit, so definitely get used to that. let's do a few algebraic ones here. So we have 2 times x plus y. Well, of course, you're going to take that number, multiply it by your x, plus 2 times your y. Well, when you simplify this, 2 times x is just 2x, plus 2 times y, well, that's just 2y. So your answer would be 2x plus 2y. All right. What's another one I can do here that's... All right, you may have c plus f times negative 5. So we got c plus f, that quantity, times negative 5. Of course, you'll take your negative 5, multiply it by the c, plus you'll take your negative 5 and multiply it by the f. So when you simplify this, negative 5 times c, that's just negative 5c, plus negative 5 times f, well, that's just negative 5f. So we could simplify this further because plus minus is just minus. You'll just get negative 5c minus 5f. That would be your answer for this distributive property expression. See if I could do one more. Alright. We have u minus w times negative 8. So we got u minus w, that quantity, times negative 8. First, you're going to take your negative 8, multiply it by u, plus you'll take your negative 8, you'll multiply it by negative w, because that's plus a negative w in there. So now you just start simplifying. Negative 8 times u is negative 8u, plus you'll have negative 8 times negative w, that'd be positive 8w. So you'll get negative 8u plus 8w, or you may see it written as 8w minus 8u by the commutative property. That is also allowed. So you may see it written one of two ways, negative 8u plus 8w, or 8w minus 8u. Either way, you got it correct. So again, just carry your first term, carry the term outside the distributive, outside the parentheses, multiply it by the first term, plus you take that term outside the parentheses, multiply it by the second term, then you simplify it. That's all there is to the distributive property. So that's really it for this lesson. The next lesson we will simplify algebraic expressions. So I hope everybody has a good night. Take care.